All right, now let's get reaction then. We are now joined via Zoom by the African Transformation Movement's spokesperson, Zama Ntshona. Very good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Good afternoon to you and the viewers.
All right, let's begin here. You have, I suppose, as ATM been seen as a party that sort of spearheaded what I'll call this campaign for accountability when it comes to the Phala Phala farm debacle. What are your thoughts, now that the acting public protector has cleared the president of any wrongdoing, in fact saying that evidence before her office does not support allegations?
As the African Transformation Movement would like to start here, it is very unfortunate that we have this report, preliminary report in the open, whereas we, the complainants, are barred from actually commenting on it by Section 7, subsection 2 of the Public Protector Act. It is very, truly disabling for us to be able to speak to the merits and demerits of the case when there is such prohibition. And yet everybody is weighing in on this matter when we know that we are not able to do so. But we have received this report last night, and we were in discussion and in conversation with our lawyers. The lawyers have actually spoken to us and are dealing with, in fact, with the issue. But as the African Transformation Movement, we remain by the Section 89 panel report. We say what we submitted there, what was the outcome of that, is the thing to consideration that the people of South Africa needs to look into. One, the issues around the Section 96, subsection 2A, subsection 2B, issues around the conflict of interest. Even by the very affidavit of the president, we are sure that the president has something to answer, consistent with what the Section 89 panel had actually found, which is a senior, a former Chief Justice.
You raised something very interesting. Before we continue with this conversation, let's talk about this prohibition that you're talking about, this prohibition that's been put on you with regards to, speaking on the matter or weighing in or commenting on the report. What is that about, and what exactly is it based on? I think that perhaps as the media we might have missed that particular point. Talk to us about that before we continue on where we were.
The conversation the letter that we got from the public protector, the communication that we got, made reference to Section 7, subsection 2 of the Public Protector Act of 2014 that prohibits us to actually weigh in on the matter whilst it is on a preliminary stage. So it's a preliminary report which solicits from us to actually within 10 days write our comments to the public protector, which will be filtered or factored in the report before the report is finalized. And then upon the finalization of the report, we can then be able to speak fully and weigh in on all the aspects pertaining to the matter.
Were you the only party that this particular prohibition was placed on? I mean, you were not the only ones that complained to the public protector's office. What are you hearing from those, who also placed complaints in the office of the public protector? For example, the DA leader, John Steenhuisen.
There is a communication that just that we received also apart from this particular communication, which was directed to us. There's another statement by the Office of the Public Protector, which also reiterates that. That one is actually directed to newsrooms and editors, where they are also citing the same issue. So we are not the only ones who have been subjected to Section 7, subsection 2 of the Public Protector Act of 2014.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about what's then happened. We saw SARS clearing the president earlier in the week, and the leaked report also clearing him, whereas the independent panel that we know of, and in fact the EFF was referring to, found that when we're talking about Phala Phala, there is and there may be a case to answer for. What do you make of what could be perceived by some quarters as, a contradiction?
There is something about the composition of the Section 89 panel committee first, the committee. You have people who have no ambitions career-wise, people who don't have to please any individual, but people who are very senior in the legal fraternity, people who have actually devoted their lives in actually delivering judgments and protecting the concept of law in this country. Now, these senior people, on the basis of law, find, when looking at all that was presented before them, that there is prima facie evidence. This is why, as the African Transformation Movement, we feel it is important not to just dismiss that particular process. And you would remember that the rejection of that particular report was not on the basis of merits. It was the ruling party using its numbers to just bulldoze a view, but it was not an issue that was based on merits. We believe that the issue of the panel with people of a high caliber, knowledge and experience should be something that South Africans look into with great interest, because we believe that the people who are still in the seat, and some of them appointed by the very president, the likelihood is that those people are not going to find against the president.
All right. Well, for the sake of this interview, obviously took a look at what the public protector had to say with regards to ATM. There were also responses to the other parties. I made the example of the DA leader, John Steenhuisen. So several complaints were put in the office of the public protector. My question is, were these complaints sort of a similar nature? Because it does seem as though, and though I haven't seen the rest of the responses, does seem that the blanket statement is for all who complain, that there is no basis, that there's nothing in support of these particular allegations. Is it possible that all who complained basically complained about the exact same issues and the exact same, parts of the law that they put forward? It just seems a bit strange that the response would be blanket in addressing everyone.
No, it is not the same for everyone. Some looked at the issue of the foreign currency. Some looked at the issue of the Section 96, subsection 2A on other paid work, Section 34, PRECA, subsection 1 on reporting, issues around conflict of interest, issues of an unlawful instruction, whilst others looked at taxation. So it was not the same complaint. But for the African Transformation Movement, we narrow it down to the Executive Members Ethics Act. That is where our focal point was, and we had directed it to the Office of the Public Protector, as Section 96 actually permits us to do so. And in fact, we had expected that in accordance to Section 3, subsection 2 of the Executive Members Ethics Act, this issue should have been concluded within the first 30 days, because this preliminary report should have come to us there. So main point is that the issue of political parties submitting complaints, it was not the same issue. We were speaking over a range of issues that needed to be investigated.
Mr. Ntshona, all right, why did ATM choose to, zoom their focus in particular on the Ethics Act? I asked this because, you could have taken it either way, because there's also a constitutional issue at play here, particularly when it pertains to the role of the president. Why did you in particular choose to use the Ethics Act when I think the Constitutional Court would have, weighed higher in this particular situation?
All right, the issue around the Executive Members Ethics Act, there are a number of institutions that have to conduct a number of other investigations. But when it comes to the Executive Members Ethics Act, we had not only an accusation, but we also had the president acknowledging. One, on Section 96, subsection 2A, on the issue of other paid work, when he was closing the Limpopo conference, the president says, I am a farmer, I sell animals, the proceeds from my farm were from a game sale. There, we do not only have an allegation, but we have an admission from the president. Second to that, PRECA Section 34, subsection 1, the president writes in his Twitter that he did not report to a DPCI office as actually required by Section 34 of the PRECA Act. He then, with that, it is an admission. So in this particular case, there was no need for an investigation because the individual in question had actually admitted to actually violating. So the issues that were raised consistent with the findings of the Section 89 committee, the issues that were raised, the committee finds in accordance with that, because there is not only an allegation, but there is also an admission from the president.
All right. Are you taking this further? I know that at the moment, when it comes to what you're dealing with right now is the issue of prohibition, and I think you did say that you're dealing with that currently with your legal team. But apart from that particular issue, the main issue, are you taking it forward, and how so?
There are two processes in place. One process is the one that we are dealing with right now with our lawyers, writing a response back to the public protector. We have 10 days to do that, and we will raise sharply issues that we feel need to be raised there, and then that process will take its course.
Yeah.
But there is another process that is going on right now. You would remember that the ATM had gone to the Western Cape High Court. In the Western Cape High Court, we had asked for the nullification of the open ballot decision by the Speaker of Parliament. And in the event that the Western Cape High Court grants us that, at the back of the Constitutional Court ruling, which did not allow Mr. Ramaphosa to nullify the report, then the report is back in Parliament. And we are hoping this time around for a secret ballot. So those are the two processes at play.
Mr. Ntshona, many thanks to you. So we appreciate it here on SABC News. Thanks for indeed giving us your reaction then to our top story. Then the African Transformation Movement's spokesperson, Zama Ntshona.